Warning, this video may contain content that may not be suitable for children or anyone else that is easily offended. Strong language, graphic content, nudity, bad jokes, and a possible idiot, aka myself, may be featured in the following clip. Viewer discretion is advised. Channel is not responsible for any damages that you receive watching this video. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Zems, and welcome to Shadow Spiders SCP-538. This video is by Dr.bob, so if you guys haven't already, be sure you swoop down in the description box, click on the link, go watch the video in entirety, because I'm going to be pausing and stopping and talking through the whole thing. I don't know, a lot of you guys was down in the comment section talking about SCP, so it kind of got me interested a little bit. I got like a back brief about them and how they came about. Pugs Man was telling me, GG, all well as, Mr. Badlands Martinis, and Tiger Queen told me to react to Shadow Spiders because she knows I have a hatred for spiders. So she said that she wants to see my reaction to this one. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is President Zems, and welcome to the Crow's Nest. But for now, let's get it. That was crispy, bro. If you can do that, bro, you gotta let me know. You gotta do that. If you can do the crow voice, bro.
An SCP Foundation doctor wearing a hazmat suit is escorted by 2 guards through the secure facility. They stop in front of a large, sealed door, and one of the guards scans his security card. There's an audible hiss as the door slides open.
Damn,
the doctor nervously looks to the guard, who motions him inside. They certainly won't be joining him.
Yeah, she ain't going.
The doctor steps into the small airlock, and the door snaps shut.
Red
A
flag.
complicated locking mechanism seals the door behind him. He's truly locked in. The reverse process then begins on the locked door in front of him. It finishes, and the door opens, revealing a room with bright lights that briefly blind the doctor. As his eyes adjust, he can see that the entire room is white and bathed in an intense light. He steps out of the airlock and towards the center of the room, where his task awaits.
So I'm guessing the light
He
because of the
takes one
spiders.
slow step at a time, pausing for a moment after each before taking the next. The doctor wants to get this over with as quickly as possible, but he has to abide by the protocols.
See,
This is how
hell
they
no.
dictate that one must walk in this containment chamber.
It is bad enough, bro. Think about it. If they got spiders in this damn thing, imagine where they keeping all these other these SCPs. All right. Imagine the other SCPs that are, what they kind of captured, like, was it 173, bruh? Oh man, I couldn't imagine, bruh. Even if this is not real, just imagine like the chills and like the way you feeling walking into this thing, knowing that whoever's in there can potentially kill you, bruh.
As the doctor gets closer to the center, and his eyes further adjust to the bright light,
Here we go.
he can finally see what this room contains. In the very middle of the room, directly under the lights, is a man. He's lying on a table and isn't moving at all,
What?
except for his slow, rhythmic breathing, which is assisted by the ventilator
Look at
he's
this.
connected to. A feeding tube has been placed inside his nose, and numerous machines next to the man hum and beep as they measure his vital signs. The doctor continues to take one slow step after another, and eventually, after what feels like an eternity, he reaches the middle of the room. The lights above the man are angled to create large, dark shadows coming off of him, and now the doctor is finally close enough to make out what he was warned about in his briefings. Even though the man is completely still, the shadows are moving. Scurrying on the edges of the man's
hell
shadow
no.
are what look to be spiders, and big ones too, roughly 3 inches across.
Oh,
But
Jesus.
the doctor can't see any actual spiders on the man.
Slap
Only
him.
the shadows of these massive arachnids are visible as they move back and forth along the man's shadow. The doctor is growing increasingly nervous. He can feel the sweat dripping down the inside of his hazmat
They
suit,
might be crawling
but
on
he
him.
tries to tell himself it's just a result of the bright lights beating down on him.
Nah.
The doctor reaches the machines measuring the man's vital signs and jots down their readings, marking down that the man's medically induced coma appears stable. He's continually distracted from his work, though, by the movement of the spiders.
Oh, man.
One suddenly jumps from one part of the man's shadow to another, startling the doctor and causing him to jump back. The spiders abruptly stop moving, and even though he can't see their eyes, he has the feeling that they are looking right at him.
That's a super red flag. It's already bad enough. Like, bro, if you yell and they look like you done for, bro. They not letting you back out. That's the reason why they sealed the door when you went in there, bro. Because in case something go down, you're not getting out. My thing is with the shadow spiders, my only question is, yes, he's in there now. When he's coming out, how would they know that they're not on him? Like, what is the protocol for saying, like, oh, the spider's not on me? Unless when he go out and they spray him and then the spiders die. So I guess if it's not skin-to-skin contact, you should be good. I don't know. But I don't like spiders. There's a reason why I don't like spiders, because they can communicate and stare at you like that.
Doctor is frozen with fear, staring right back at the spiders. But after a moment, they go back to their previous behavior and start crawling along the edge of the comatose man's shadows once more.
That's what they think.
The doctor continues to go down his checklist and audibly gulps. He's reached the final item, the one labeled physical exam.
You gotta touch him.
Nervous sweat runs down his face into his eyes, and he wishes he wasn't wearing this hazmat suit so he could wipe it off.
Nah.
He knows he must get much closer to the man, and more importantly, his shadow, than he feels comfortable with. He has to physically take the man's pulse, though. They won't let him out of this room if he doesn't. He reaches out towards the man's hand, slowly and carefully. He can see the shadow of his hand getting dangerously close to the man's shadow, and the spiders. One of the spiders stops moving, as if it is watching and waiting for the doctor's shadow to get closer.
Damn, that shit was... The spider was backing that ass up on his face, bro. The disrespect. The spider was just twerking on his face, bro. Look at that. He booty bumped his face, man. That's disrespectful.
As if it is watching and waiting for the doctor's shadow to get closer. It raises up on its hind legs, looking like it is ready to pounce. The doctor gets closer and closer to the man's hand, when out of nowhere, the room is rocked by an explosion. The doctor spins around, and on a monitor next to the airlock door, he can see a feed of the hallway outside. The guards who had escorted him run down the hall as a red emergency light flashes.
The SCP got
He
out.
turns back to the man on the table. The spider that was waiting for him lowers itself out of its attack mode and goes back to scurrying along the shadow. The room is shaken by an even bigger explosion, and it suddenly goes dark.
Everything's
Power
a
must have
shadow.
gone out from whatever is happening outside.
Oh, damn.
He can
Here we
hear
go.
the sound of muffled gunfire mixed with far-off screams, but both are drowned out by his nervous, heavy breathing inside of the suit. The doctor drops to the ground and tries to crawl back to the door, but he has no idea which direction it is.
Wait a minute.
He hits his head hard and hears a crack come down his mask.
Oh, he's
That must
done.
have been the table.
He's done.
The doctor turns and crawls the other direction, eventually finding the airlock door. He stands up and bangs and pulls on the door, but it won't move. He fumbles with his hazmat suit and finds the button for his emergency light. A chemical light comes on inside of his suit, casting his face in a sickly yellow light, but the light starts to flicker. Something must be malfunctioning. The
That
light
crack.
on one side of his protective mask goes out, leaving half of his face in darkness.
Oh, no.
But that's the least of his problems, because all of his attention is now focused on the shadow moving across his face.
Oh,
It's the shadow of a spider.
he's done.
His
man.
eyes go wide as the spider stops and stands up on its rear legs. Arachnophobia.
Oh man, bro. Like, I think he would have just left the flashlight off. He would have been fine because he forgot like they're attracted to shadow. I wouldn't have turned the light on, bro. I would just stay in the dark because everything in there is in the dark. Now that you casted a shadow on yourself, you let yourself vulnerable to become that. That's like one of the things you cannot stop yourself from being a shadow. So it's just like, damn, man. If those things is real, bro, how many people would get clapped, bro? I have arachnophobia.
The fear of spiders, and sciophobia,
Ooh.
the fear of shadows, are some of the most common phobias.
Sciophobia?
And today's SCP file is a terrifying and dangerous combination of both. I'm Dr. Bob,
man, I'm making
and
me
this
itch.
is SCP-538, also known as the Shadow Spiders.
The twerking spider.
SCP-538 is what appears to be a kind of living shadow, not dissimilar to SCP-017. Though these shadows always take the form of an unknown species of spider. These anomalous arachnids seek out the shadows cast by other living objects, attaching themselves to the edge of the
Oh my
living
God,
creature's
bro.
shadow in such a way that their own shadows aren't obscured. Once attached to a shadow, the spiders will appear to feed off of them.
Oh.
This allows them to rapidly grow in size, with adults measuring a total area of roughly 15 square centimeters.
Jesus.
Once they reach their full size, they will continue to feed, though this will only maintain their size. The feeding process seems to not impact the host in any way, and the spiders can remain on a shadow indefinitely. While the spiders have been observed feeding on the shadows of inanimate objects when no living creatures are available, these don't appear to provide the spiders with whatever nutrients they require.
So they drinking
and
our
they will slowly
blood.
atrophy and decrease in size. It is only when they are connected to the shadow of a living organism that SCP-538 can thrive. SCP-538
Oh,
are not
no.
locked to the shadow they are on, though. The spiders have shown the ability to move across areas to reach a new host.
It's like shadow herpes, pretty much, bruh. It's like a STD but with spiders, bruh. Pretty much. Like, he kissed her lip. See, right? That's why you can't kiss everybody, bruh. He got a shadow spider, bruh. Make sure you're using protection, because if not, you get a shadow spider, bruh. I'm using this to scare my kids, bruh. Shadow spiders are real, bruh. He kissed her, and now he gave her the spider. Oh my goodness.
Though they will decrease in size when not attached to a shadow, losing as much as 2 square centimeters of their size for every second that they aren't on a shadow. and should they be stranded in the open without a shadow to feed on, they will decrease in size until they disappear completely, at which point that individual instance of SCP-538 is considered to be terminated.
But how,
the
though?
spiders
Everybody has a
normally
shadow.
avoid this fate thanks to their extremely fast movement, though.
Oh,
and fully
my
grown
goodness.
instances have been measured moving up to 1 meter per second. While SCP-538 instances are usually quite benign, seeming content to simply live on the shadow of their host, they will attack if they are frightened, which is when the real danger presented by these anomalous arachnids comes to light. If the spiders are agitated, usually from the result of a rapid movement by its host, the spider will bite the organism's shadow before attempting to flee. Once bitten, the unlucky individual will progress through 5 distinct stages, all of which take place over the course of roughly 1 hour. During the first, the subject will report pain in the area of their body that corresponds to the part of their shadow that was bitten, but no puncture wounds or other marks will be visible in this location. Minor psychological effects have been reported in this stage, mostly consisting of an increase in irritability and the tendency for the bitten subject to lash out at those around them. The second stage occurs 10 to 15 minutes after being bitten.
Oh yeah, Taco
The
Bell.
subject will begin sweating, despite reporting that they feel cold, while their skin will become red and warm to the touch. 25 to 30 minutes after the bite, the third stage will begin. At this point, the psychological effects become very noticeable, with the subject becoming violent and attempting to attack any person nearby.
Jesus.
Their speech will be slurred, and they may show signs of impairment to their motor skills. The fourth stage begins at the 40 to 45 minute mark, and at this point, the subject's skin color will go from being red to a pale white as their core temperature drops 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. Their psychological state will alter once again, and they will go from being extremely aggressive to overly apologetic, blaming their previous behavior on the fact that they weren't feeling well and weren't acting like themselves.
So, alright, plot twist. What if shadow spiders are real, right? A lot of people have irritability, wherever you're saying. A lot of people have really, like, bipolar and stuff like that. What if that's one of the stages of getting bit by a shadow spider? No, maybe I'm just making, I don't know, but how you gonna get mad at me? First of all, I'm running, doing my daily routine. You jumped on me, and you gonna get mad that I'm moving fast? You run faster than I do, and you mad that I'm moving around? Yo, these SCPs, bro, they ruthless. This is only one of how many? This is 538, so I want to see 001. Oh my god.
After offering their apologies, they will then request their leave from the area and attempt to retreat to a darkened area.
He about to turn
fifth
into a
and
spider.
final stage happens 55 to 60 minutes after the bite,
He turns into a
at
spider.
which point the subject faces a grisly end to the entire ordeal. Their entire body will rapidly dissolve into a translucent liquid, while at the exact same time, their shadow will disintegrate into numerous smaller instances of SCP-538.
I caught it.
The spider offspring measure just 4 centimeters across, and the new instances will immediately begin seeking out shadows of their own that they can attach to and feed off of. There is currently no known cure for being bitten by an SCP-538 instance, and even death will not halt the process. Instead, should the subject expire while in the earlier stages of the condition, death will cause the final step to occur immediately. In a bit of good news, only bites to the area of an individual's shadow that correspond to a spot of bare skin seem to cause these effects. Even thin materials like cotton clothing appear to be enough to prevent the process from starting. The SCP Foundation has multiple instances of SCP-538 in containment, and they are kept in a white 15 by 15 by 3 meter room that is accessible only via an airlock. 4 200-watt lights are focused on a table in the center of the room, where D-Class personnel in a medically induced coma is kept in a stable state in order to serve as a feeding source for the SCP-538 specimens. No other sources of shade are allowed into the room, so that the D-Class serves as the only source of shadows. Any personnel that enter the room, whether to repair a light source or to check on the condition of the D-Class, are to wear sealed hazardous material suits equipped with oxygen tanks, and are advised that they must move slowly and deliberately in order to avoid agitating any instances of SCP-538.
I couldn't do it, bro.
Initially, doctors sent to examine the D-Class personnel were allowed to enter the room alone. However, following the events of Incident I-538-1, that protocol has been changed. During the incident, an attack by the Chaos Insurgency caused disruptions to both the main and backup power sources to the part of the site where the SCP-538 containment cell is located, just as a Foundation doctor was in the middle of an examination of the comatose D-Class. Power outage led to all lights in the containment cell shutting off, while at the same time sealing the airlock that provides the only means in or out of the room and trapping the doctor inside.
Yep.
The power was not able to be restored to the containment cell for another 18 hours, at which point the doctor was finally removed from the cell. The doctor sobbed uncontrollably as he kept repeating that he could feel them crawling all over him. The doctor was required to attend mandatory psychological therapy for his newly developed arachnophobia.
I mean, do you blame him? I would have had arachnophobia. Oh, my phobia. Damn. I could, oh, bro, I'd rather deal with the one that break your neck, bro. That's the easiest one. You just got to go in and look at them, bro. 2 people got to be in there looking at them. But 3 people go in, one's doing something, the other 2 looking at him, so he can't move because they got eyes on him. This is, like, making my skin crawl. Like, it's making me itch. It's making me, like, see things. I'm, like, seeing, like, lint fly by, and I'm just freaking out. Like, I can't, bro. My mouth getting dry. Like, ooh, spider. I don't know if people get hide, though. People be putting them in their mouth and stuff. Like, oh, man. Oh, you couldn't pay me enough to hold a spider.
And was later reassigned. Following this incident, the examination protocol was updated, and health checkups of the D-Class personnel are now performed by a doctor who is accompanied in the cell by 2 security personnel, each of whom are equipped with 2 250-watt flashlights that can be used in the event of another disruption to the lights. If at any time a staff member is bitten by one of the spiders, they are to be immediately placed within SCP-538's containment cell as soon as possible, as the failure to properly contain them could easily lead to a massive containment breach by SCP-538 entities. Bitten individuals will often attempt to hide the fact that they are bitten, so anyone who comes into contact with the shadow spiders must be carefully monitored for signs of any of the symptoms that follow a bite. The ease with which they could quickly spread and the huge threat they pose to humanity has led to SCP-538 being classified as Euclid. And while the Foundation hopes that they have been successfully contained, we all must remain ever vigilant of movement on the edge of shadows. Should you spot something, don't take any chances. Your future non-liquefied body will thank you for it.
Like, that's just something that you can't avoid, especially just like the fact that you don't turn into one. You turn into multiple. You become multiple, and it just spreads and keeps spreading. And like, what do? Like, you can't get rid of a shadow. So if somebody did have it, and you know people do it all the time. Do it in the movies. They get bitten and they try to hide it, and then they turn and they bite people. So it's just like, man, I don't know, man. These ideas got to come from somewhere, right? So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's real. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just... That's just crazy, man. I hope I can look more into these. I don't know if it's going to be copyright or not, but we'll see. So thank you to Pug, Badlands Martini, GG, Tiger Queen. Appreciate you guys telling me about all this. But yeah, I don't think... I'm going to be itching for a minute. I'll probably have to go take another shower because I'm itching now. I don't like... But let me know down in the comment section what you guys thought about it, or if you heard this one before. And let me know what's your favorite SCP, or... I like to say experiment. And we'll try to go check those out as well at some point. But yeah, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Zems, and welcome. This video was by Dr.bob, so if you guys haven't already, be sure you swoop down in the description box, click on a link, go watch the videos in entirety, because I was pausing and stopping and talking through the whole thing. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.